back to Thinkkings, episode number 6.
Hello, everyone. This is already 1 month of Thinkkings.
Yeah.
So we're very excited. This is our 1 month anniversary. Yeah, let's go.
And today's topic is, or today's title is Art with Thinkkings. And that's why we have all of this stuff right here. We have this table. We have water right next to us.
Yes, we have our art supplies.
I got my stylus and my laptop.
I have magic markers, some pens right here, and mechanical pencils. And I have my Blix drawing pad. So.
And today's 3 questions are: what is art? Does an art piece ever become irrelevant? And then also, can a machine make art? And those are the 3 questions, as always.
Yes.
And then you should try and answer these in the comments.
Please, guys, please. We need this. It will help us improve our content as well. It might create new ideas for us to even talk about. So, just like the last episode.
And so the thing that I'm going to be working on in this episode is my comic that I have for my class, which I can post this on my own social media just for everyone to see later. And I'll periodically be like, look at this. And then what are you going to be doing?
I will be working, or I'm starting to work on an abstract drawing that I'm making. I'll probably use my mechanical pencil, maybe some magic markers, but I'll see. I might try to make another one if I have time within this episode. So,
and then let's jump right into the first question.
Yes.
So what is art?
What is art?
You can go first.
All right. So I think art is, first off, is a very broad thing, right? There's many different kinds of art, but I think art is like an expression of some idea. I mean, I think people have heard that term before, because art is about expressing a feeling someone may have, or some idea, right? Like if you're trying to express I don't know, some sentiment, or if you have ever been sad or angry or in love or something, a piece of some kind, either arts, whether it is visual art, like something that we're making, or maybe a dance, right? There's a lot of feeling that goes into it. So it's a form of expression.
One thing I've done in the past is my What is Art class, where we actually talked about art and what makes up art. One of the ways I defined it as a part of my final essay actually is it's a result of being creative. And so I thought that encompassed every piece of art pretty well. And art is made up of anything that you can imagine. And as long as you can put meaning to it, or even making it meaningless, you can still argue that it's a piece of art as well. And
that makes me think, that one piece of art, I think a lot of people were talking about at a certain point, that one banana taped to this wall. Because I remember having a conversation about that at the time. Well, still to me right now, the concept of like some meaningful art, or what is art, sort of varies for me, because to me, I think art needs to be something that you put thought into a little bit. And, someone could do like, just like the banana taped to the wall, you could probably have a piece of paper, crumble it, and throw that on the garbage, and maybe talk about what does it mean. Because at the end of the day, art is supposed to represent something. But if that's what you do, I feel like the art itself cannot speak for itself. And I think that's an important thing for like art. If you look at it, it's okay to interpret art, but at the same time, if you're an artist and you have a specific intention, the audience is supposed to see what you were trying to say, or at least have something much more deep. So let me throw that out there.
Yeah, and so art is very meaningful in a lot of different ways. there are some specific examples where, like we talked about in my class, where some piece of art are called like ready-mades, and these are things that are like legit just pieces of whatever. I know there's this famous one by Marcel Duchamp, famous artist, and he made this artwork. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called Drinking Fountain or something.
Oh, Drinking Fountain.
Oh no, it was called Fountain.
Fountain.
It was a freaking urinal.
A urinal. Yes, you
urinal.
told me about that. You
Yeah.
told me about that.
And one of the greatest things about that was he initially didn't put a name to it a little bit, and the museum that he submitted it to, they put it in the museum just because a lot of stuff can just make it through, but they put it in like the corner of the museum where almost no one could see it. And it's because they just didn't know who made it and everything.
Yeah.
And it looks like just not good art.
Yeah.
It doesn't look aesthetic at all.
No, it's just a urinal.
And but then people were like, oh my god, when he was like, oh yeah, this is my art, because he is a famous artist. So that was another question that was brought up, was does fame or popularity affect how an artwork is seen or how good an artwork is?
Yeah. I mean, I think that is very true though, because there's some of the, like, let's say I go to the museum, some of the artworks that I see there, I think I could have probably made this.
Freaking the red, yellow, blue.
Yeah, red, yellow, blue. I could have probably made that artwork. But then I think about the person who made it. You know, okay, this man went out there and, you know, he brought this to the museum. So I think that is also a question too when it comes to art, you know. Like an example that I could take is probably just what we're doing right now. You know, it's like, it's true that there are a lot of podcasts, and maybe certain people could say, oh, I could do that, but I think what counts is that you actually do it, and not that you say you can do it. Because actions speak louder than words. So, you know, if you're an artist, I think, and you actually did the art that other people said, oh, they could do, I could do this, I could do that, I think that counts more because you actually did it. So, and that's where it all becomes, to some people get annoyed by the idea, oh, this guy, how could he be in a museum? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he put in the work and he did it himself, so yeah.
And then also, art, in a lot of ways, is just a really good way to express things that are way more conceptual than they relate to physical things. Because I know science and art go hand in hand a lot.
They go very hand in hand.
But art is like more of the figments of imagination, the more fictional side of things.
It's more freedom in art than there is in science.
Because science is a lot about what you can do with the observations you make. And then art is about the things you can make in your head. Yeah.
Which can break the laws of science.
Everything.
So, you know.
I'm making a superhero comic. And so that's one thing that's about fiction.
And his superheroes break the laws of physics.
Yep.
It's not science.
They can explode like the universe and everything.
Yeah. I mean, that makes us think, wait, can we go to the second question?
Yeah. All right, so does an art piece ever become irrelevant?
Yes. And before we were actually going to film the episode, I was thinking of this question a little bit differently, but it was sort of like a tricky way. And the way I thought about it is that, does the craft make the art last, or does the art make the craft last? It's like a tongue twist. But in a sense, what I mean, if an artist, or not an artist, but if a method of art, you know, exists continuously, you know, throughout time, does the art that craft makes, is it going to last, or is it the other way around? An example that we were talking about before the podcast started was the Mona Lisa painting, right? the Mona Lisa has been, you know, it's like probably the most famous art piece, like, you know, the most famous portrait or something of maybe all time. You know, I mean, you have the sculpture of the David. That's another famous one. But the Mona Lisa, I think it's up there for the artworks that is probably one of the most popular ones.
I know, and it's so famous, even though it's like it's tiny as heck.
Yeah, very, very
so
tiny.
small.
Yeah, and people just come all over the world just so they can see it. And so that was the reason why I asked that question. Like, if the art itself is making the craft of making paintings like that last, because I'm pretty sure if people see something like that, you know, they're gonna want to take pictures and then be like, wow, how can this person do this? But at the same time, you know, I think there's a lot of people, or there aren't a lot of people that paint like that anymore now. I'm not entirely sure, but I think a lot of the art, you know, that looks modern, that's very modern art. It doesn't go into a lot of detail that much. There's definitely some artists that draw like that, but I think the concept of art, you know, means something to different people. That, you know, sometimes it feels like it's about, just like we said before, the fact that an artist is famous and not so much about the thought process put into the art. So the art has a different meaning to it. But, well,
yeah.
What do you think, Jake?
So, if I'm going to the question, does the craft make the art last, or does art make the craft last? There, I feel like some instances where it can be both, where maybe a specific performance can further on facilitate like the craft of like dancing and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because I also know, especially with media, we have more ways of getting it to people.
Yeah.
And that where the craft, or like the showing, the artwork propels the action of that craft. Because I know, imagine if we didn't have TVs or anything. I mean, imagine if we couldn't film like dances, or we couldn't film like plays or anything.
Yeah.
Then would people want to go watch plays or dances as much?
Yeah.
Because people are more used to doing it, or watching things like that from the comfort of their home sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if I want to describe like sports as a kind of art, a lot of people don't watch sports in person, mostly just because of cost and because of transportation and everything like that. And it's super difficult to even try to do that way. But it's still super enjoyable to watch like a game live.
Yes, I actually prefer watching a game live rather than on TV. I cannot do it.
And then from home, you could still get kind of that experience.
I mean, it then makes you think of like maybe art. It becomes more of a necessity at the end, I guess, for certain things, because it makes me think of how, what was I gonna say? It's not about painting, but gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yes, about food.
Yeah,
food is a form of art.
Yeah, cooking
is an art.
Cooking, baking, and everything like that. It's art mixed with chemistry.
Yeah, it's an art mixed with chemistry. So it's a perfect representation of art and science.
Mixed together.
Right? And so cooking is necessary for humanity itself. Like we need food. And every single one of us, we enjoy good food. We don't enjoy bad food. You know, if you enjoy bad food, please talk to me, because I want to know what your thought process is. But anyway, cooking is necessary, but it's an art form, just like we said. You know, you have people come up with different recipes. It's not there's a specific way to do certain things to have the taste that you want. I think that's where you can have that sort of connection between science and arts, because it mixes up very well, right? You need to have a specific recipe, a specific quantity, but you can be free to sort of express yourself, in a culinary sense. You can make probably some of the best rice ever, or some of the best pasta ever, right? But you probably perfected the art of making your craft, which is that's the thing with artists. They have their own craft, and I think that's what makes art very unique from science, since that is just like we said before, is there's more freedom, and you can perfect your art at the end. You can make your culinary skills better. You can make, you can probably make better rice than the other person next door or something like that. So.
And then if I go back to the main question, does an art piece ever become irrelevant? I also think there's certain cases where I feel like it can be. Well, there's definitely instances where it definitely is.
Yeah.
And that's when no one remembers or knows what the art piece is. Yeah. Then it becomes irrelevant just because no one knows what it is.
Exactly.
But then in terms of like, if artwork that is famous can become irrelevant, is whether or not the thing it stands for, I sometimes is what decreases in value. Like, what if an artwork decreases in value because of it loses its meaning? Then at times that can become irrelevant. Or if it's about something too far into the past, or where that you can't like relate to anymore.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about the Mona Lisa, because it's such a famous piece. Yet I wonder how will people see it in like 100 years from now? Because again, and that also makes I guess it can tie also to how is it that art can also change, and it makes it into something else. And it makes me think of, I guess like classical music, right? So at a certain point it was the Romantic period, then it went into, well, first it was the like Bach and Mozart. I forgot what that period was called now. Gosh, that's on mine. But then it was the Baroque.
Yeah, the
Baroque period, and then there was the Romantic period, and then there was like, now you have modern music, but it's interesting because you can see that some people still want to go back to that, which is, it's interesting because even for, if we take a look at what architecture, I've had conversations with people about how they don't like how modern buildings look because they aren't as appealing as older buildings.
Yep.
And then they want
brutalism.
Brutalism. I have my thoughts on brutalism.
I feel like it can be good looking.
It can be good looking, in certain places or in certain circumstances. But I prefer more of a maybe Greek style, or I don't know,
the Roman.
Any Roman, or
Roman
even,
architecture is so nice.
Or anything that is very old is just super duper nice. Any of the buildings, definitely in like Italy, or I don't know, anywhere where Mesopotamia was, or the Middle East or Africa. There's definitely a lot of places that like historically have very nice architecture. But the cost of probably you making one of those buildings would be a whole lot today. Maybe,
it would be
a lot.
Insanely expensive.
Very expensive. That's something I kind of don't understand sometimes, because we have the technology, like tech is so advanced now, but I sometimes cannot see why is it that buildings cannot look as good as before. I think one of the things is that in certain places it has to do with like consumerism and getting things
things done efficiently,
because
those buildings probably took
a long
freaking time. I don't
to
think we're
do-
willing to.
No,
to
we're not.
take that
we're not
long.
gonna take that long to make buildings, like that. And so I think
Because
that's
we're
where
lazy.
sorry, humanity, we've gone very lazy.
Yeah, and so it's just some of the older things I feel like we have not made it as much just because it's not efficient.
No, it will take too long. And I mean, I think also people. I mean, if you were to make a craft like any of the any of the old buildings, the details that is put in the pillars and all that.
Yeah,
you have to train people to do that, and I don't think a lot of people are willing, or they not exactly willing, but they just don't do that.
The accessibility of finding someone who's able to do that, and then also be someone who wants to learn how to do that at the same time, I feel like
very low.
is something that's decreasing.
Yeah,
because how much again
that person would have to get paid millions of dollars.
This consumerist world kind of is like, or especially in the United States, I guess, is like we like to get our money's worth of stuff, and I feel like how much are you gonna get paid in order to make something like that takes that long and that effortful?
Millions of dollars,
and then like you don't even get that much money until it's like finished, or or you get in increments, and then maybe it's not even worth it sometimes.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people would be like, oh, you're gonna be going to art for school.
Yeah,
it's like, dang, you're gonna be broke.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing.
That's like one thing that is kind of scary to me a little bit, is I feel like the more that we feel like art is no longer valued monetarily, the more that's gonna die.
Yeah.
And things that engineering and all the technical fields would become too saturated. I mean, we need art to like relax.
Yeah, art is a very important part of just the human nature. I mean, we've been doing art since the dawn of time, pretty much. If you go back to the caves, in like Spain or France or whatever, and we've been doing art for forever. And so if art dies, or at least not exactly like art dies, but some art or certain kinds of art, if they just die, it's just it's kind of bad. It would be pretty bad, I think, because it's a part of our identity.
What are some pieces of art that feel like they will never die? Music. I don't think music will never die, because people are always trying to make sounds.
Yeah, it's true.
Babies make music with their mouths by crying all the time, and also like to just mess around with sound. The more that you want to mess around and use your imagination, the more art stays alive.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially in like the modern world, the more we get older, the less we try to be creative sometimes.
I also feel like people are afraid of being out there,
of being like way super different in their ideas, and being that free with their thoughts.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be with their thoughts, but also expressing themselves.
Yeah,
I think that people
become more reserved.
Yeah, they've become more reserved and isolated as well. And you have things like the loneliness epidemic or something like that, where people are so afraid of seeing other people. They stay inside in their phones, and that also kills art and kills a lot of things. So and I mean that makes me think of like our third question about
can a machine make art?
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like humans are machines almost.
We are a biological machine.
Yeah.
We're not
a literal
No.
machine made by ourselves.
No.
But when I think about it, machines, if there was a machine that could act like a human, then I feel like it could make a piece of art. But then that also raises the question, like, will there ever be a machine like that?
Yeah. I mean, it also makes me think though, because I remember we had this conversation one time, like the art or the fact that humans create art is because they experience certain things that machines don't experience. You know, and that is a thing that I guess gets a little bit controversial in a way, because you could simulate emotions, right? Because some of this art comes from our emotional, the emotional side of ourselves, you know. Like if you listen to music, you get into a groove. Some people can cry, others can be happy, excited, and all that. You can simulate that with machines, but machines simulate that from us. And the process of, you know, dying, or the process of, I don't know, all these human things, a machine can simulate, but it's not going to necessarily understand that or like feel that, you know?
I know, but then what if it's like so realistic that you can't tell the difference?
Yeah, well, then you might need to find some machine that can detect whether this is a real robot or not, or like not even a robot, a real machine, or if it's just a human that is really feeling something.
I don't know, but then like, what if there's like, I feel like there could be a point where you can simulate emotions so well that it becomes so close to humans that if you made a machine to tell the difference, it might categorize a human that acts more like a machine as a machine.
Yeah, so you go to the extreme now. You went from like being, you know, the creation to be as good as the creator itself.
Yeah,
but
it reminds me of the simulation
theory. Yeah, when we talked about that in our last episode,
where if the simulation that we lived in, if we lived in one, was so accurate that it was undistinguishable from reality, then would it matter, or would it even be that much different from each other? And why would it doesn't matter which one you live in, because each one is almost equal.
Yeah, meaning we could be biological machines, right? No, we could be machines right now that are programmed to simulate certain feelings, but we don't really know that we're in a simulation.
Imagine we would be like robots within a robot.
Yeah, but then who created those robots now?
Which ones?
The ones that created us. It goes into a never.
If they were a simulation.
Yeah.
If the people.
That's a simulation in a simulation.
Yeah.
So it never ends.
Yeah, it never ends.
That means who created us then? Who created them, and then did they create us? Then it gets existential. Oh gosh.
I know, but the whole thing to me is like, it doesn't really matter, because we all live almost the same anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think that to some people it might not matter as much, because you, just like you said, at some point you might not be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
And also at some point humans might be combined with machines, and others might just not. They might choose to not be machine at all. So, you know, I think that actually reminds me of that one video we saw of Melody Sheep, where he was talking about how humans will look like in the next few thousand years or something like that, and how is it that our distant relative, descendant was going to be like.
What would we evolve into?
What would we evolve into? So then, if we evolve into this sort of machine that, you know, when we're making art, we can expand our knowledge across so many things, because we can maybe connect to the internet. So maybe our art will be much more complex. But I mean, what does that mean? I feel like when it's like complex though?
I know. That's one thing about having a machine like AI art. I feel like AI can just be the next step as a tool for art.
Yeah.
To make art easier to make. Because it's the same thing with the paintbrush. Imagine we had no paintbrush. How the heck would we paint with our fingers?
Well, that's how they did it.
I know, finger painting.
Yeah, finger painting.
But then the paintbrush was just a way to almost create new techniques. made new techniques.
Yeah.
And it was a way to make the process easier too at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like we have to be able to use the new technology that we have to make new types of art or new types of styles. And I feel like AI style is a new style.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the style that AI makes art in is really weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It looks like
you
uncanny.
can tell. You can tell when it's AI art.
It looks uncanny.
Yeah. I mean, also there's like another thing too.
Yeah.
Some of the tools that people have used, sometimes it doesn't compare entirely to other tools. Because the brush takes what's in your mind and puts it on like a paper. Like
yeah,
you
puts
made
it on a
that.
piece of like canvas.
Yeah, you made that. But the AI, to me, it's much more different than that. Because AI, it's like it's making it for you. It's true that in certain cases, you know, you could be inspired by the AI or whatever the AI gives you to make your own thing.
Yeah, you physically don't make the like image.
Yeah, you don't make the image. But you know, that is like you're drawing inspiration from AI, which is the same thing.
The only thing is if it's your intention to create that image or not. Because a piece of art, you don't even have to be the creator of the physical piece.
Yeah.
You just have the idea of what that piece is.
Yeah.
And still be like attributed as the creator. Because I know there are definitely projects and everything where people have to work together to finish one project, but there's always that one person who was the one who created the idea for it. And so it's the same thing like with directors and everything, with movies.
Yeah.
Who is the creator of the piece of art that was just created? Was it everyone?
No, it's the director.
And I feel like some people could argue that it was everyone that contributed to it. So what would be the artwork? The freaking whole movie and everything and its parts? Or the idea of the movie?
Yeah, it's again, there are different parts, I guess, to the process of, you know, just like you said, if the person that created the film, right? I guess it's just that AI it's much more scary in a sense.
People are scared of AI, mostly because we think that AI can overtake us.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and I remember I was thinking about this, and I did tell you this. The way AI seems to be shown, or like the way that we use AI, is as if AI works for us or certain places because when you look at films, and this is a sort of a thing that I always, you know, I've thought about. In films, AI and robot, or at least the very happy ones, you know, the ones that are very like optimistic, they show us working with AI. They don't show AI replacing us, which, you know, if you've seen like WALL-E, that's sort of what happens. You know, humans no longer really contribute to anything. They just sit down or, you know, drink and just exist.
And I feel like that's like
purpose.
I feel like that's the ideal, where like a lot of the things are more automated for us.
Yeah.
So that we can pursue other things.
But the thing is that if you're already having things automated for you right now, and there are people that are not doing anything, even with the automated stuff. What makes you think that if everything is automated for you, people will want to do anything?
I know that's the scary part.
Because if everything are lazy.
If everything becomes easy for us, would we want to go seek out?
No, we wouldn't want to do anything, because dude, we can just exist and everything can be handed to us, you know, on a silver plate. That's all we would need to do. We just need to say, hey, Siri, hand me
hand me my phone
next to me. That is 2 inches next to me, because I cannot move a finger. I'm very lazy right now. Siri would gladly do that for you. So serious. But that is the thing that I think people, some people don't fully see at times, or the people who are so into AI, they're like, oh, AI cannot replace us because AI needs us. I was talking to a friend of mine about that the other day. I was studying, I think, is it data science or IT? I think something like that. But I told him, dude, you can program an AI to learn on its own. Why would it need you? you know, I mean, it's true that at the end, AI does need some of us in a certain sense, right? Because we're the ones working with it. But if humans already decided, oh, let's make AI learn on its own, then what purpose do we serve? And AI is sort of like the last invention, because from that, what are we going to make if AI is going to make everything for us? Mm-hmm. So I think that's where people need to limit how like humans use AI and use robots.
But then that's at the point where like I feel like
that's a few thousand years from now, guys.
There would be like a new species at that point.
A new species, but it makes you think of like Dune. You see how like in Dune there was the like robot war, and then no one uses robots anymore. They use like basic complicated machines, and then you have the one people that are like machines in a way. They can predict certain things or patterns and things like that. Yep. I think at the end that's where human will probably head to, because I don't think humans can be trusted. In some senses, humans would be way less efficient and I feel like less trustworthy with certain things. Yeah, and I think at the end, robots will just do everything for us, and we'll have no purpose at all. And I mean, I remember I was listening to another podcast one time, and they were talking about the fear some people have about robots taking over, or like artificial intelligence taking over. And one of them said, how is it that he doesn't think AI will take over, because dominating and taking over is like a very human thing. Yeah. But the thing is that, and it's true that AI could like simulate human emotions if we program it to do that. But I think that AI will see a whole lot more important things than dominating over others. Because humans, we have that thing in us where we want to conquer things. But the purpose of us making AI is for us to learn certain things. So AI might as well just learn, endlessly until it's at a potential where it can't learn anymore. But how would it, it's just like, actually, that reminds me of the robot from, what is it? I think My Adventures with Superman. Okay. The robot was programmed to save Krypton, and because Krypton died, it did everything so it could save Krypton. So it's like, imagine if the robot or the machine gets to a point where just so they can learn, they need to go outside of their code or outside of their programming just so they can, I don't know, just encaps the whole entire universe in a ball, just so they could study the universe, and they go beyond everything because they've learned so much more and they want to learn more. They'll never stop learning. They become this god entity and create us again. Who knows? Maybe what created the universe was AI already, that went super duper crazy and started to learn things.
That would be kind of crazy.
That would be crazy to think about, guys. I think. But wow. Did you have any more comments?
More comments about
AI taking over.
AI taking over.
Yeah.
Mostly just, I feel like we need to use technology to the most of its ability, and not be scared to do that. Because if anything bad happens, I feel like we just need to be able to create something to counter it. And I feel like if we're able to create something that good, we would also be able to create a really heckin' good counter
Yeah.
or a really good
It's true.
fail-safe.
It's true.
Because who the heck is able to make super advanced technology and not also make a destroy button?
It's true. It's true. No, it's true. I mean, but the thing is that I think that's where I think people need to set limitations towards what it can do, because I think AI has so much potential, but I think it should be used in a way where it doesn't do everything for us. Because
I feel like
we created AI, and it's so.
I would think that AI, if we made it to a point where it was like it had no limits, I don't think it should matter too much. Mostly because I feel like the way that we want to use AI, if we fulfill its like purpose that we want, I feel like that would be good.
Yeah.
But
will we?
the only thing that I see being a problem is only if it started going beyond what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because then it would be like, okay, we just created life. But then that's like, creating life would be, I think that's already almost impossible.
Yeah.
In a
Well,
way.
this is a different kind of life. This is artificial life.
I know.
But yeah. Anyways, I think we're almost
At the end,
Yep. I am not done with this artwork, but
I'm definitely not done with mine.
yeah. I was even thinking of making another one. But it's
Well, I have to make more.
yeah.
Otherwise, I won't finish my comic.
Yeah.
But
So what did we talk about today?
we talked about art. What is art? Does art ever become irrelevant?
And can machine make art?
Yeah. And we talked about that for
For a long time. It's a very hot topic, I think. So, but so far this is how my artwork looks like. I don't know if people can see it.
The light is probably like
the light
super
is very
bad.
yeah. It's very.
But this
bright.
is let's see if my comic will show up.
I think it kind of does. If now we can take a picture and people can see
Yeah,
it.
I will post my comic, especially when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jake's story is very, very good. And we've had exchanges about it. And definitely it's a very good one.
All right.
So make sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Buzzsprout, all the others, Instagram, our TikTok page as well.
Yep. Send us feedback.
Send us, please, guys. Send us feedback. We haven't had any feedback yet.
It's been a month.
It's been a month, guys. We're not doing good here. But we want you guys to tell us maybe other ideas for episodes or future episodes if you guys have any. We definitely still have many ideas that we want to put out there, but definitely we want to hear from our audience as well. So yeah.
All right.
This was Thinkkings episode 6, our 1 month anniversary.
Yep. Thinkkings.
Thinkkings.